All right. Then in my commentary, I have a commentary on verse 5 about he who supplies the Spirit to you and works miracles among you. Does he do so by works of law or by hearing with faith? I'm not going to read all of that since I'm running out of time here in this study. I don't want to keep this study before you too long. Let me instead drop all the way down. Let me just go like this real quick. Sorry about that. Park that there. Let me jump over to this second tab and talk a little bit about Paul's bringing in the quote from Leviticus 18:5, the man who does these things will live by them, speaking of the commandments and the way Paul interacted with this particular phrase. So let me just pull up the verse first so you can understand the context. If we drop down in Galatians 3 and look at verse 12, Paul says, but the law is not of faith, rather the one who does them shall live by them. Ha dynamas uk estin ek pistios all ha poesas auta zesetai in autois. That's what it says in the Greek. The one who does them shall live by them. This is a quote from Leviticus chapter 18. So let's look at some of what's going on here. In my commentary, I talk about how the context of Leviticus 18 is a promise in the life of the land of Israel. And does it speak of life in the land, or does it speak of life in the age to come? When it talks about the man who does these things shall live by them. Is he talking about eternal life when it says live? Or is he talking about Moses? Is he talking about temporal life here in the land? Or is there kind of a little bit of both going on? With these data get us started, let us attempt to uncover Moshe's intended meaning of Leviticus 18:5 and its relevance for Galatians 3:12 by allowing Paul to explain it for us. So Paul looked at this passage, and it was important enough for him to quote it in the book of Galatians so that he could explain what its meaning was for the Galatian Gentiles. And of course, this would bear relevance to the nationalistic Jews that were within the same kind of outside larger community. Shaul's going to eventually go on to use Leviticus 18:5 again at Romans 10:5 in a similar discussion about covenant membership. The meaning of Leviticus 18:5 is formed by the context of the passage as a whole and obviously warrants careful study, but first let's have some fun with the Hebrew and the Greek manuscripts. All right, I'm just going to play around for just a few minutes, look at the English and some of the Hebrew and some of the Greek, so just bear with me. Leviticus 18:5, starting in verse 1. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, verse 2, speak to the people of Israel and say to them, I am the Lord your God. Verse 3, you shall not do as they do in the land of Egypt where you lived, and you shall not do as they do in the land of Canaan to which I am bringing you. You shall not walk in their statutes. Verse 4, you shall follow my rules and keep my statutes and walk in them. I am the Lord your God. And then here's the verse that Paul quotes from. Verse 5, you shall therefore keep my statutes and my rules. If a person does them, he shall live by them. I am the Lord. That's Leviticus 18, 1 through 5, ESV, with the emphasis, like, where you see the underlining words and things like that, is my own. And then in my commentary, I have the Hebrew of verses 1 through 5. I don't want to read all of those. But I do want to look at verse 5. You shall therefore keep my statutes. Let's see, that's verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, verse 4. I am the Lord your God, Elohim. I think verse 5 is, there we go, right there. Ushmartem et hukotai ve'et mishpatai asher ya'aseh otam ha'adam v'chai behem ani Adonai. This is the Hebrew of verse 5 that I just read there. Now, here's what I have to say in my commentary. Interestingly enough, in the LXS, the Septuagint, the Greek of the verb does them, which is poiesos in the Greek, in the phrase, the person does them, Leviticus 18:5, it's actually an aorist active participle verb, which is often used to denote a general ongoing past. Thus, most translations rightly show having, participle, done, past. So the person having done them shall live by them. As if there's this reward for you having done something. So you do something, that's the first part, and then God steps in and rewards you for your effort. That's the way it seems like the LXX Greek reads. However, in the original Hebrew, the same verb, ya'aseh, is an imperfect, i.e. a future tense. It's something that hasn't been done yet, right? So you're wondering, well, why did the Greek translators change it from the future, those who will do these things will live by them, those who shall do them, as if it's something that hasn't been done yet, the reward is waiting for you to do it, versus the Greek rendering switches the verb tense over into a perfect tense as if it's already been done, right? Those having done those things will attain life through them. Is there any significance? Also, I say my commentary just to get slightly technical for a split second. Likewise, since we reference the LXX in the Hebrew, let's also take a quick peek at the Greek manuscripts of our Galatians verse. In the Greek text of the Byzantine majority and the Greek Orthodox Church text, as well as in the two Textus Receptus manuscripts, we have Scrivener's and Stephanus of Galatians 3:12. In the Greek, it reads, Ha denamos uk estin ekpistios al hopoiasas alta anthropos zesetai in autois. A wooden word-for-word reading of the matching Greek from these four manuscripts would list something like this. So this is my own kind of wooden rendering from the Greek that I just read. The moreover law is not out of faith, rather the having done these things. Notice the verb tense, having done. Having done these things, person will live by them. By comparison, the Nestle and I think it's Nestle and Westcott and Horton manuscripts leave out anthropos, the man or the person, the human, etc. And they show, here's what they render in the Greek, Ha dynamas uk estin ekpistios al hopoiasas alta zesetai in autois. So they leave out the word man or person or human, the anthropos in the Greek. And the Tischendorf manuscript differs from all of these in that it alone has the conjunction Allah, otherwise, but, rather, etc., instead of al, right? Notice it's just missing an alpha at the very end there. Nevertheless, the meaning is essentially identical with all the others. So,